It's been 50 years since the fall of Saigon, when North Vietnamese and Viet Cong troops rolled into the city and took the presidential palace, marking an end to the Vietnam War. A chaotic evacuation occurred with tens of thousands of American personnel and Vietnamese civilians airlifted out or crammed onto Navy ships. Millions of Vietnamese people and more than 58,000 American soldiers died in the war. 183,000 soldiers from Washington State served in that conflict, and now a powerful new exhibit sheds light on the human side of the war. The Things They Brought Home, Memories of Washington's Vietnam Veterans, just opened at the State History Museum in Tacoma, and military historians Dr. Megan Nishikawa and retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Eric Flint are here. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Tell me how the exhibit came about, Eric.
We were approached by some folks from the State History Museum, specifically Mary Michael Stump, whose father had been in the war. And he had some things that he had carried with him throughout the war. So the original idea for the exhibit was to commemorate the end of the war through objects that people who served, Washingtonians who served, what did they keep with them? What did they carry
throughout
with them?
The whole conflict?
Yes.
Okay.
But we found that that evolved as the project went on.
Okay. And we'll get to that part of how it evolved. So what's housed in the exhibit?
Oh, we have some fantastic things. We have lots of very personal items that were worn. We have a hat, we have a uniform that's fantastic. We have some things that were collected by career soldiers, so maps, pamphlets. We also have some things that are more personal. We have letters, we have a catalog, which you wouldn't think of, but it had an emotional tie. So a real varied amount of things. And
you gathered them from, it took you a while, I would imagine, to gather from all over. Put out a call? How does one do this?
Well, it was, Megan and I kind of divided up. We contacted veterans organizations. Through our work at the Lewis Army Museum, obviously we had quite a bit of contact. But it really came down to people that we knew who would then introduce us to veterans we knew who would introduce us to other veterans. And it kind of went from there.
From there. As we mentioned, 183,000 soldiers served from our state in the war. Let's talk about the role that they played.
Well, we have a huge defense industry here. So we're not only sending soldiers, we're also sending equipment. But the folks who were from here, you think about the 9th Infantry Division, big part of the war. We're also sending lots of medical folks over who trained at Madigan. So we've got people doing all sorts of things in the war.
And that Fort Lewis, as the Army component, was one of the Army's major basic training centers. And Fort Lewis was also what they called a processing center. So if you were in the Army and you were going to or from Vietnam, you processed through either Fort Lewis or Oakland. So of the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of soldiers who went to or from Vietnam, huge portion of them came through here, through SeaTac, through McCord, and as Megan said, couple that with the Navy building ships, the Air Force, flying stuff back and forth, and then our own defense industry. So that tie throughout the war is very close.
You touched on it a little bit, that in the beginning your thought was this is the things that they carried, but it turned out to be the things they brought home. Why that change?
As we were going through and we would ask veterans, so we were thinking, do you have like a lucky rabbit's foot or a picture of your mom or rosary beads, something they kept? And all the veterans went, well, no, but I have all this other stuff that I brought back. And then it just kind of organically evolved into, okay, why did they bring these specific items home? It wasn't an accident, and that's why we get this real wide variety.
And why did they keep them, too, I would imagine? Because they had to have had that extra meaning to brought them home.
Absolutely. And some of them were useful, too. The boonie hat that we have, the gentleman who kept that, he used it every single day. It lived in his truck.
And his son, that veteran is gone now, and his son just remembers this hat being in his dad's pickup truck every day and his dad wearing it every day. And he was a local guy who was drafted, did 2 years in the Army, and then pretty much never talked about the war, but always had that hat with him.
We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you, both curated this exhibit, spent so much time on it. What are you hearing from people and veterans? Only been open a few days, but still.
We're hearing really good things. The veterans are pleased that their story is being told in a non-judgmental fashion, and they're ready for folks to see more and to ask more questions about what Vietnam veterans experienced.
Right, because we missed that the first time around, didn't we? Any thoughts on that?
I would just echo what Megan said. It provides a venue. It personalizes the war, and it provides a venue for people to talk about it without judgment. There's no politics, there's no strategy. It's just the people and how their experiences are reflected in stuff they deliberately brought back with them.
I like that you especially highlighted the without judgment. And sometimes we can look at objects and take away some of the emotions, and maybe it's a little bit easier for us to deal with the history. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Our pleasure.
Appreciate that. And again, the exhibit, The Things They Brought Home, runs through November 16th at the Washington State History Museum in Tacoma.